you know, one day I'm gonna do it so that people get to hear me singing that to you as through the intro. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and this man in the box is Baby.
Good morning.
What I was talking about then when we first came on is obviously we have our countdown on Twitch, and then we have a nice little show ident, the Scoop intro, and just because Bibby obviously can't hear that unless he has the actual stream open on his end, and because I have some strange weird disorders or whatever, I kind of like so Bibby kind of knows where we are. Anyway, that's what I was saying. I should do that. Anyway, welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, as mentioned. This is Bibby, and together we are Ice Cream Uploads in true ice creamy fashion. Today's show and every other weekday show is The Scoop. We bring you the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games. Your daily dose of video games news. We give you our thoughts and impressions on the news stories. We want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions so we can get backwards and forwards going. And it's important that we do get that backwards and forwards going, because we turn this into a video podcast that goes out on YouTube and an audio podcast that goes out on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. And everyone listening and watching on demand, hi, welcome. You guys obviously get to pause, fast forward, rewind, but you don't get involved in the conversation, not live, not directly with Bib. So if you are live on Twitch, then make sure you do get involved in the chat, which It's DDC has just done. Hello, good morning, welcome to the stream. Good morning, how you doing? You all right?
Good morning.
So yes, if you are watching live, please feel free to get involved. As mentioned, we do turn this into a podcast that we put in all the other places, so it's important you can be the voice of the people. Bib, what'd you get up to yesterday, Captain Golfman?
Had a round of golf, possibly the worst round I've had in a long time. Well, to be fair, the back 9 was okay. The first 9 was, well, the first 4, shall we say, was absolute hot garbage, but brought it back towards the end. I'm trying to get a consistent under 100 shots, and at the moment I'm there or thereabouts. It's usually like between 99 and 105, so I'm getting there. It's way better than I was used to get, like 125, 130 back when I first started again last year. But I'm getting there, and then I played some PES 10v10 last night, a couple of games, won both of them.
Nice.
Was flying. So yeah, that's about as much as I went. I'm assuming though that you played some PUBG.
I didn't do anything games-wise last night. I had a night away from video games. We watched the sequel to The Divergent, which was Insurgent or something like that, which was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one, but there or thereabouts, so it was decent enough.
Didn't you say it's all downhill from that one?
Yeah, apparently the first one, yeah. So this way, it was okay, but then again, I'm quite simple when it comes to my email, get out of here. I'm quite simple when it comes to my my movies. If it's decent enough, but I'm well enough made, then I'm happy enough with it. So yeah, that one I think got scored out of like 100, something like 33% or something like that. Whereas for me, it was like, oh well, yeah, I'm happy enough with it. So that's fine by me. The next one got 12% though, so we'll see how we get on with that. Oh no.
What did you say the third one got?
12% out of 100. Rotten Tomatoes give it like a 12% score. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes do tend to be quite strict with their things. I think Metacritic it was around 42 or something like that, but it was like 12%. But either way, that's probably going to be world class for me. So there you go. Hey, yeah, simple man. But yeah, no video games after that. Usually I jump on PUBG or something to do my dailies, but yesterday I just thought, nah, do you know what? I'm having a day where I'm not playing any games. But today, though, I will be jumping on PUBG straight after this stream, so I'll make up for it there. So that's all good. It's all good. Anyway, let's jump straight into the news, because we have quite a few stories. We had a few stories that we didn't have time to fit into yesterday's show, so we've bumped those forward to today. So that gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new stories to jump through today. So we will try keep the pace rolling at reasonable speed, enough to get in depth, but not enough so that we drag it to a 3 and a 4 hour episode of The Scoop, because oh my god. So yes, let's jump straight in. First news of the day, and it's a doozy, is that Gamescom's digital-only event kicks off with Geoff Keighley, or Keighley even, opening Geoff Keighley's opening night show in August, and that will lead a daily schedule of live streams. So those thinking that, do you know what, video games are being kind of screwed over by COVID, there's no E3, there's no Gamescom, we finally have some news. So Gamescom organisers have shared more details on this year's digital-only event, which gets underway on the 27th of August with the return of Geoff Keighley's Opening Night live stream. This is written by Matt Wales for Eurogamer, if I didn't say. Gamescom's digital-only event replaces this year's physical show, which was cancelled in April in response to the coronavirus outbreak, and will be a slightly shorter affair than normal, running from Thursday the 27th of August to Sunday the 30th of August. A nice weekend show, yeah. And an expanded version of the existing Gamescom Now digital content hub will serve as the focal point for the event, playing host to world premieres, news, games, and events, as well as programming specifically aimed at developers and other trade visitors. Additionally, there will be online areas dedicated to content creators, esports, cosplay, indies, and merchandise. Geoff Keighley's Gamescom Opening Night Live will likely be the one to watch for bigger announcements and reveals, assuming it follows the template established by last year's surprisingly packed show. Didn't actually get to see that because me, Bib, and Mark were sat in a tapasy place chowing down whilst that was happening.
Yes, we was.
But Gamescom Now will also feature studio-based developer interviews, the indie-focused Awesome Indies live stream, and a daily news roundup. A special Best of Show live stream will bring this year's Gamescom to a close on the 30th of August, promising highlights of the 4-day event, plus a Gamescom Awards presentation. So pretty short article, because obviously breaking news, but yeah, I'm happy. We've got this. We've finally got some news detailing what we can expect out of Gamescom. Where was it? So this was kind of like the key paragraph. An expanded version of the existing Gamescom Now digital hub will serve as the focal point for the event, playing host to world premieres, news, games, and events, as well as programming specifically aimed at developers and other trade visitors. Additionally, there will be online areas dedicated to content creators, esports, cosplays, indies, and merchandise, and then obviously alongside of that, Opening Night Live too. So, big news. Thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, it's massive news. It's something to look forward to because obviously with the lack of E3 this year, having arguably for me, even though it's the only one that I've ever been to, for me Gamescom's always been the more consumer friendly one anyway. So yeah, I'm happy that it's still going ahead. I mean, there's no reason for it not to, because you could, like they're doing now, they're having an online only version of it, which is fantastic. We've seen a lot of the state of plays and the Inside Xbox recently moving into the online aspect of it. So it's the perfect way to be able to do it and keep the people in the video games world, up to date with everything that's going to be going on. So it needs to stay there. It needs to be in the calendar. The Opening Night Live is just a very small part of the entire weekend, but it's something now that we've got in our calendars that we can look forward to hearing some of the biggest and best, and some surprising announcements, I imagine, that will come out of Gamescom.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting for me is I'm trying to see how, trying to think forward. Sorry, just wiping my nose as I'm doing that. Trying to think forward in terms of Opening Night Live last year was packed. There was quite a few announcements within it, but before that, there was a feeling that Gamescom is the bigger event. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There was like, what was it, 300,000 people or something went to Gamescom versus 60 or 70 or whatever it was at E3. Huge video games event, the biggest in the world almost. I mean, I'm saying that unqualified. Maybe Tokyo Game Show probably has bigger audiences. I don't quite know. All I know is from a content creation side across definitely Europe and America, it's the biggest, most attended event anyway. So huge already in that sort of scale, but it never really lived up to E3's stature when it came to the broadcast side of it. Yes, there was all sorts of complaints with Gamescom. Yes, there's all the issues with the ESA, and we're not even getting into the leaking and doxing information of all the attendees. Nice one, GG for that, by the way. It just had the prestige. It always has been there. E3 was the big one. E3 was where you get the console announcers. E3 is where you get a free Kinect for sitting under your seat, in the Xbox conference. And E3 is where you get stuff that's happened over the years. So because of that, that was always the place where you got the big broadcast, the big presentations. Yes, that did change a little bit last year with Opening Night Live. But still, I think in people's minds, E3 is the big one. That's where all the news is going to come. Even though people are still pissed off with the year, saying where it is, still where things are going to come. However, there's apparently supposed to be some sort of digital replacement for E3, but we're like less than a month away from where E3 is. Like 2 weeks away from when E3 is supposed to be going off. Nobody really knows what's happening there. Are they doing anything, or have they just given up on it? Will they throw something out now? But even if they were to go with something, because of the impacts of COVID and coronavirus, all of the conferences and stuff that would be happening at E3, yes, developers are taking it on their own to do their own stuff. So Ubisoft are having their own conference, Devolver are having their own conference, and so we've had, I think there's a few more confirmed as well. But that's not under this banner of E3. And not only that, you absolutely have to feel that all of those now will be going, okay, so we'll do our stuff in June. That gives us a couple of months to get our proverbial ducks in a row. And then when it comes to the 27th of August, Opening Night Live, I absolutely want to have our stuff featured in that. So that kind of makes me think, where do we stand for next year then? So if we have physical events, and even if we don't, even if we just have digital events, next year everyone has the time to plan it to its full potential from a digital standpoint. Has E3 already been hurt by that then? Because Opening Night Live started well last year. They now kind of have a free pass at everyone just has to kind of go for that. We've done our own stuff, and we also want to be including the industry celebration stuff at Gamescom. This is the first opportunity that we will have at doing something big that transcends our own channels. If they smash that, what does that look like for next year? Will E3... Will it be a body blow that you can't kind of recover from, or what? I mean, that's an interesting sort of thing that we'll have to keep an eye on over the next 12 months. What do you think, Pip?
Yeah, I mean, will they just keep it to non-consumer? So, like E3, for instance, is just going to be there for business, but the everything will be live streamed again. Or will it just have limited numbers? Because even as far as next year, I still can't see them allowing, especially at Gamescom, the likes of 380,000 people going through the doors over the 4 or 5 days that it's going to be there for. So it's going to be interesting how they balance this out over the next year. Things will change over the next year. Rules will be laxed. Mentalities will change, but I still don't think that allowing that amount of people to come through the door. I mean, even land flu and going to events is you come back with sicknesses anyway because the amount of hands that you're shaking and you run down and all that shit that goes with it. It's just one of them things. Now, add on that a disease that's killing people left, right, and centre. It's a tough thing to be able to manage, and I'm so glad that I'm not the person that's making the calls on that, because there is no way I want to make a call like that. So over the next year or so, it gives people time, it gives companies time to adapt and potentially think about how they want to market their games next year. But without events like that, the gaming industry is worth nothing, in my opinion, because we, as gamers and as people on the other side of the fence, not the people that are making money from them, but as consumers looking over from the other side, those are our big events. We look forward to those as people who play video games, not just on the business side of it, where we go to obviously make business and network and things like that. So it's interesting how the balance will be made next year. It wouldn't surprise me if it was just going to be business only with limited numbers. But from a consumer side, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to Google it now. Google Gamescom. As far as I'm aware, is Gamescom's tagline "Celebrate the Games" or is that something else? The heart of gaming is what it says now, but something used to be Celebrate the Games. Maybe that was Gamescom previously. But the bit that you said there, events, that's what makes the games industry, not just video games that we all play, celebrating the games, the fact that we can all come together and share the experiences, share video games, watch events live, esports, it's like being at the World Cup kind of thing. That's that sort of mentality. All those bits converge into video games in some way or another. And yeah, I do agree that that is kind of the foundation of video gaming and the wider appeal of it. Whether that is something that we have next year. I mean, Jordan, good morning, by the way, says, yo, events won't be happening for at least a year and a half, especially in esports or games. Manky controllers and it's GM Central. I mean, the thing you've got to think about, though, is Gamescom is Cologne, which is Germany. Germany this weekend kicked off the Bundesliga. Yes, it was closed environment, so there was no crowds and so on. But if they're starting football up, and football is safe enough in Germany to do that, then if anyone has the potential to start off an event, or at least take steps towards it, then it's potentially Germany. And we're still 4 months away from this year's Gamescom. Add to next year as well. That's 16 months away. So 16 months from now, we could be in Gamescom. I'm not saying I agree. I do think what you're saying is right. There won't be events for at least a year and a half. Not what we would consider normal now. Definitely, I think that will still be feeling the impacts. We're probably talking 2 years away for that, because you need all sorts of vaccines and everything to be fully circulated in use and gone through all the testing trials and be fully available everywhere, and before stuff can go back to normal. But if Germany can start the Bundesliga off already, then give them 14 months. They will be able to do something, even if it is a restricted show. It might just be based around the broadcast and trade. I mean, one of the biggest things about Gamescom, which the public don't ever see, is you've got so many different halls. Hall 7, the big PlayStation booth or whatever. Hall 8, the big Xbox booth. Bang, bang, bang. And then you've got Nintendo's, and then you've got all the publishers, not just the first parties, within there. But then there's also a trade area, and the trade area is hugely important, because that's where games retail will discuss targets. That's where publishers will make sure that enough of their games are put out across different avenues of the industry. So you might have Ubisoft meeting with GameStop and Game and whatever, and making sure their sales targets to ensure that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will have enough point of sale spread across the store. And those meetings define what's on the websites, what's on the video messaging, what's on their social media, and so on. So even though you don't see that stuff, that's kind of what frames your picture of the video games industry. So that not happening. I know there was something, as well as programming specifically aimed at developers and other trade visitors. Additionally, there will be online areas dedicated to content creator, esports, cosplay, indies, and merchandise. It was as well as programming specifically aimed at developers and other trade visitors. That I get that a little bit. Programming aimed at developers, I mean, that kind of exists in terms of GDC, Game Developers Conferences. So that exists in its standalone sort of presentation sort of format anyway. There is a lot that happens at Game Developer Conference, GDC, away from the actual conferences though. But they have more of an outward voicing bit at GDC. The trade side of things doesn't. It doesn't have like let's all go to the trade presentation, because it's not about that. It's individual meetings. So that, I think, will probably be the hardest hit area, and it's kind of weird, because it's an invisible thing. You don't see the business behind the industry, and that's where it will be hit. But anyway, a long tangent to say, it's going to be really good to see them having daily shows, to see them having partner content. They've got, so I'll bring this back up on screen for you actually now. This is their schedule asset. So 27th of August clears the way. Thursday night for Opening Night Live. Boom. Geoff Keighley and co. straight into the show, a full night dedicated to that. Starting 28th of August, they will have the Daily Show, DevCom, which will obviously be the developers' element to it, some partner content, and then content coming out of the Gamescom studio. That's repeated for the next day, where they add in awesome indies, and it's repeated again for the last day, where they add in the Best of Show awards setup. So that's where you get like the best sports game and the best story game and the normal stuff that they usually do there. So yeah, that's fine, but I can't see how they tie the trade stuff in there. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, the fact that they have all of this already and their event isn't until August is amazing. It's good. It shows that they're taking it seriously. Their fingers on the pulse. They're on the ball. I mean, what do we have for E3 right now? Nothing. So, yeah, I mean, GG to Gamescom, GG to Geoff Keighley as well. Clearly, they are looking out for their own event. They want their own event to be a success, but they're probably also looking at the competition and saying, look, how can we do it better than everyone else? What is everyone else not doing? Just sharing content updates and giving some sort of stability, and I think that's good to see. It's good to see us having something that we know we can plan ahead now. Okay, we've got 4 days of video games content. calling it now. Ice Cream Uploads will be having a live watch along of Opening Night Live, so feel free to check that at that point in time, and then we may watch some of the daily content going through that too. So, and I expect the scoop as well around those days to have a lot of news, particularly the Friday morning on the 28th, because that'll be post Opening Night Live. There'll be a lot there for you guys to check out. But the fact that we can have these conversations about that now is amazing for us as content creators. The fact that E3's 2 weeks away, and there was supposed to be some sort of digital stuff, but kind of isn't, and we can't plan around it. It shows the difference. So GG ESA, nailed it.
Yeah.
Nice one. When I say nailed it, I mean the lid of the coffin shut. Bang, bang, bang. Way. So yeah, big news to start. Opening Night Live kicks off a 4-day soiree of video game content coming out of Germany. At least we assume it's Germany. It's coming from Gamescom anyway, which is obviously usually based in Cologne, but it doesn't have to be Germany. It could be random Studio A. But yeah, GG, we've got something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Now let's move forward, though. And something we have been looking forward to since last week is, well, as I say since last week, we were talking about Epic a lot yesterday too. Obviously, last week we featured Epic's Unreal Engine 5. And resident Xbox fanboy Jordan was in the chat shouting the same message that we were shouting, really. The fact that it's not just exclusive to PS5, it's third-party content, not first-party. So Unreal Engine 5 will be on Xbox, Switch, PC, PlayStation, and so on. And clearly that message, a lot of people didn't pick up enough, because that has led to our next news article of the day, written by Andy Robinson for VGC. Epic's CEO says Unreal Engine 5 will be awesome on PS5 and Xbox Series X. There's no secret deal with Sony, says Sweeney. I mean, nobody expected that. Nobody with common sense would have expected that, but let's jump in the article anyway. Epic Games' CEO has reiterated that the technology showcased in last week's PlayStation 5 Unreal Engine 5 demo will be awesome on Xbox Series X. The Fortnite developer partnered with Sony for the unveiling of its latest middleware, which was shown running live on the PlayStation 5 via Lumen in the Land of Nanite demo. The PS5 showcased two core technologies that will debut with Unreal Engine 5. Nanite geometry. That's the word I was looking for last week when I just kept going, landscaping. Nanite geometry. Basically, all the little bits of rocks and stuff that pop up in the game that are all rendered. And Lumenis dynamic global illumination. According to Epic's PR materials, the large and detailed scenes in the demo were made possible by PlayStation 5's dramatic increase in storage bandwidth, which allowed its artists to use film quality objects of up to hundreds of millions of polygons. In a separate interview, Epic CEO Tim Sweeney praised PlayStation 5's balanced hardware and claimed that its storage architecture could even influence future PC tech. Epic has been working closely with Sony for some time on its next-gen storage plan, Sweeney said, which includes a high-bandwidth SSD said to be able to load 2 gigabytes of data in 1/4 of a second. Damn. Xbox Series X also has a custom SSD, although its raw throughput performance is said to be half that of the PS5's. In a tweet published on Friday, Epic boss Sweeney reiterated that the technology showcased in the Unreal Engine 5 demo would run on both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and will be awesome on both. The tech will also be available for high-end PCs, while UE5 will run on current generation platforms with features for scaling the content down, he said. There could be a little bit of a word echoing now, because I'm going to read the embedded tweet from Tim Sweeney from Epic. The Unreal Engine 5 demo on PlayStation 5 was the culmination of years of discussions between Sony and Epic on future graphics and storage architectures. The Nanite and Lumen tech powering it will be fully supported on both PS5 and Xbox Series X and will be awesome on both. In a follow-up tweet, Sweeney insisted Epic had no secret deal with PlayStation and that 100% of the stuff that we've been working on with Sony had now been publicly announced. Following last week's unveiling, Xbox head Phil Spencer congratulated Epic and said that Xbox Game Studios was excited to work with Unreal Engine 5. Incredible work by the team at Epic, he wrote. Many of our XGS studios are using Unreal, like the team at Ninja Theory creating Hellblade 2, and are excited to bring these UE5 innovations to life on Xbox Series X. Microsoft has been positioning Xbox Series X as the most powerful games console for a number of months. In January, the company moved to secure its official marketing slogan, Power Your Dreams. Xbox Series X on paper specs put it slightly ahead of the PlayStation 5 in terms of raw compute power. However, these numbers do not tell the full story, as PS5 utilizes variable frequencies referred to as boost, which theoretically allow the console to hit GPU frequencies far higher than expected, with more compute power able to be extracted. Xbox's marketing boss has acknowledged criticism of its recent Xbox Series X showcase, telling fans that it set wrong expectations for the event. Kind of didn't need the last line, but I get it. You're trying to get the click-throughs. I see what you're doing there. Yeah, it's fine. Jumping into the chat, resident Xbox man, NXbox, says, ton going on since Epic China said the demo can run without an SSD and be done on a laptop with a 2060 equivalent, etc. So that caused a huge uproar, etc. Yeah, but that... Does that mean anything? I mean, it does. It clearly does. But does it? Does it mean anything? If it can run on a laptop with a 2060 equivalent, nice. That's good. There should be no uproar. It's not a PlayStation 5 thing. It's not an Xbox thing. It's not a PC thing. It's a hugely scalable function that allows you to enjoy video games wherever. And if video games can make use of that to give you the best possible games, regardless of your format, then it's good. That's good. What?
It feels like the comments that they've made are just to try to please the other side of the fence, because it got shown on a PlayStation 5 console, and the people who may not be as clued up, i.e. the people that you mentioned when you say the parents are going to go out and buy the console for their child, depending on how obviously old the child is. I assume they just think that this is just going to run on a PlayStation 5 and not on anything else, because that's what the trailer was shown in. I think anybody who has any clue about how the video games industry works is you can't. That was never going to be the case. You know what I mean? The Unreal Engine is an engine at the end of the day, and Unreal used to be a video game back in the day. Do you know what I mean? It was Unreal Tournament, so it's just part of a whole bigger spectrum than what is being made out to do. So it's really weird that he's had to come out and say this, but he obviously felt like he had to come out and say it, because there is people out there that will be saying, well, they're showing it on the PlayStation 5, so clearly it is going to be the better console anyway, because why didn't they show it on the Xbox console? Why didn't they do it at Inside Xbox that was on the other week? Blah 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 blah. A load of words just to make a point that 95% of the people who are going to be picking up the console didn't need to hear.
Jordan's comment says, Jeevens says blah blah blah. Correct. Enix says, excuse me, it's a generic engine thing, but it just fuels fanboys. PS5 fanboys constantly attacking, say it can only run on a PS5, etc. Then Epic China came out and said that and they shut up, and then Xbox fanboys, Xbox fanboys even ran with it. I mean, that is a very Xbox.
I want to know who he's following. Enix, because I don't see any of that on my social media feed.
That's a very Xbox-centric way of writing it. It's a generic thing. PS4 fanboys constantly attacking, say it can only run on PS5. I see a lot of attacking the other way as well. I'm not saying PS5 fanboys don't, but that's written in a way from an Xbox standpoint. Yeah, the PS5 started it, so we fought back. So Xbox fanboys have been attacking forever because they have the but our console's better. Yeah, it is technically, but your games aren't. So it doesn't matter in that sort of sense. So the PS5 fanboys are kind of there fighting back at it doesn't matter if you've got the more powerful thing, and that whole thing. The PS5 fanboys weren't saying it was exclusively on PS5. Well, some probably were, undoubtedly, because there's always a bunch of Muppets. But most of them were saying, not that it was exclusive, it's just that, okay, well, clearly they chose our console to run it on, because, they could have shown it on the Series X. Yours has been shown last Christmas. Ours hasn't even been seen, but still they chose to demo it on our console because it's better. Not because it's exclusive. I mean, it is or it isn't. You can say that. How do you know that? Have you programmed it? Have you worked with it? No, shut your mouth then. So naturally, Tim Sweeney's going to come out and go, naturally, they're both kick-ass. I mean, he's going to do that anyway. Basic sales. Forget having your fucking stake in PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. If you're Unreal or Epic, you're just going to go, okay, we're making an engine that we want developers, be they Sucker Punch working with PlayStation, or be they Bungie working on an exclusive Xbox title, or whatever it is, you want them to use your engine. So if you come out and say, yeah, it's better on the PlayStation 5, no one's going to buy into it using it on the Xbox. So you've lost 50% of your... Well, not 50%, because obviously the Switch as well. And it's not even a 50-50 split. Well, not for this generation. But let's just say it was a 50-50. If you just say, yeah, PlayStation 5 is better, nobody on the Xbox is going to use your engine, because you've already said it doesn't quite hit the ceilings of the rest of the industry, so they're going to look elsewhere. So he will always come out and say that. But that's...
Imagine though, creating a console that has the most powerful engine shown at the moment, and then it not running on the most powerful console out at the end of the year. I don't understand in what universe that would have even been a consideration anyway.
Do what? Say that again. Sorry, I was distracted by the chat. Then I was trying to digest that.
So what we've seen from this Epic engine at the moment, the Unreal Engine 5. That at the moment for me looks like the most powerful engine that's going to be around, because we haven't seen anything else.
Yeah.
So why would that engine not be around on what's deemed to be the most powerful console come the end of the year? The arguments that are going back and forward between fanboys are always going to be the case, because they are fanboys and they've got nothing else better to do than argue about what fucking teraflops and power and all the shit that goes into it. They've got nothing else better to do than argue about those things, and because of it's been shown on one thing and not the other, I don't understand how this is even an argument. It should never have been an argument in the first place.
The things that I find fascinating is, I get tribalism. It exists pretty much everywhere. Bibby is a flawed human being because he supports a football team from the same city that we both live in, but his wear blue and mine wear red, so he's a lesser human than me. I get that. But the difference is, Bibby's not allowed to support Manchester City and Manchester United. You just don't do that. Bibby is Manchester City, I am Manchester United. Bibby is Xbox, I am PlayStation. Sucker, you got the Xbox stick. But although technically, if we're flipping it, you'd probably get PlayStation because it's blue, whereas you're blue. I'd have to just take the green, because golden, green and gold until we're sold. Anyway, so yeah, okay, Bibby's City, I'm United, but you don't have to have an exclusive allegiance when it comes to consoles. You can, I've bought a PlayStation. People will frown on me if I buy an Xbox as well. No, they genuinely won't. You just want to be categorized as that. You can have both, and a Switch. And a PC as well, if you want. You can.
No way. You can't have all of them.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No way. No way.
So, and if you want, you can get, what is it, an RG350 or whatever it is as well, just to be on the side like Bibbies. I mean, you get all the things. So you don't.
Oh, do you mean this little thing?
Yeah,
this little beauty. Oh no, I can't have one of them.
So the fact that you don't have to be mutually, they're not mutually exclusive. You can have both. And that's why I find console fanboyism bizarre. Don't get me wrong, I do lean towards the PlayStation side of things because I play on the PlayStation with my friends. My friends all play on PlayStation. Hardly anyone I know uses Xbox, apart from Jordan. And when he does, he gets carried to wins by me. I mean, all I'm saying is I had 4 times the amount of kills he did when we got the PUBG victory on Sunday. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm joking. But, like, yeah, it's so bizarre. It is bizarre that people are still fighting over this. And it's bizarre enough to the fact that, I mean, I say bizarre like it's something weird and it'll just disappear. It will always be there. The thing that's bizarre is that it's severe enough for Tim Sweeney, like chief executive of Epic, to have to come out and say, all right, it's going to be on Xbox as well. Chill your beans, mate. Because, yeah, like you say, it will be both sides. PlayStation guys willy waving that, it's on the PS5 though, mate. They didn't show it on the Xbox, mate. Best console ever. And then the Xbox guys doing it back. And just like, how about just enjoy a good demo of technology that's going to be free to all developers to use, which will make video games be better and made much easier for you. That means you might, rather than getting 1 GTA game a generation, you might get 1.5 or 2 because they'll like the rendering will just be faster. Not that GTA uses Unreal, but still. I did say Xbox fanboys using against Sony fanboys. Why are fanboys still a thing? Just play PC, says Jeevens.
Pretty much me.
That was 100%. There was 100%. That sounds like a Sony fanboy thing to say. What does What does? I can't remember. I said a lot since then. To be honest, I think they should showcase demos on PC, etc., to stop fueling people before it goes way off. But that's not an answer.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's not an answer, because you just start to do the you don't care about your console use, and not only that, I think because console gaming obviously is sort of the mainstream. There'd be more. Wow, I mean, what are the numbers? Console versus PC. I'd imagine there's more people playing on console than there is on PC. I mean, I could be wrong on that. I mean, I imagine, only because that's where marketing is positioned. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of PC players at all. I mean, there could be more. There could be more, because PC is something that you don't have to buy into a generation. You just upgrade.
Well, I can still play games from 2002 on PC, but I can't do that on my PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there could be more. It's just, I mean, usually video games, not video games, all companies position their marketing towards where the bigger audiences. Actually, then again, maybe that's not quite right. Companies position their marketing towards where the most profit is, and that might not be a case of there's more video game players. There might just be more on console. There might just be more profit in console. So maybe that's it. To be honest, I think this should showcase some demos on PC to stop fueling people before it goes way off. Already had Sony fanboys and Xbox fanboys doxing each other and daily death threats. Imagine doxing someone and threatening someone with death because they play games, the same games as you, on a console with a green X on it, not like a blue light on it kind of thing. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. You could never be me. You dirty Xbox playing. I'm joking.
It's not though. It's not. But I've not even updated the discussing now.
A nice light topic there.
I'm just gonna.
Just what you need on Tuesday morning.
I've had to cut it down. The actual tag was Unreal Engine 5 will be awesome on PS5 and Xbox Series X, but I've just put UE5 on PS5 and Xbox Series X because that means the same thing. If it's going to be on it, they're not going to go, yeah, it's on the Xbox Series X, but it's a bag of shit. That's no. So you kind of get the point there. No, people just need to grow up, says Humans. Yep. Wait until both consoles come out in the wild and how they perform in a consumer's home. That's irrelevant. Still,
yeah, but
still irrelevant.
When it comes down to performing, like
it's not about the performance. It's about. I mean, you could make the SSD absolutely churn to the point of being on fire and have a horrendous game, and you could get absolutely nothing out of it from a performance perspective. But get something that looks phenomenal on screen. So yeah, unless that's what you're trying to get at when you talk about performance. I mean, it's not about the performance of the consoles. It's about the games on the consoles and how they are made. And that's what it is. I mean, like I say, having a faster SSD, having a bigger hard drive, having more computing power and the boosts and stuff, it doesn't matter. It's what the final product is. And I think having the consoles in the home won't answer that question. You did mention it before. I think it was not last. It might have been last week, Jordan. You had a comment where you said that the proof will be when 2 or 3 years down the line, when Xbox Game Studios release their new stuff. That's when we can judge it. Then 2 or 3 years into the consoles, that's when we'll be able to say, okay, this is better, that is better. Not necessarily the console is better, but this experience as a gamer is better than that experience as a gamer, in my subjective opinion. That's when people can start to make that. Just at the point of hardware and tech doesn't necessarily mean that much.
It's like this little beauty, you mentioned it before, this RG350. I play this more than I play my Nintendo Switch, and that's not because it's less, but it has the games that I want to play on it, and it runs like an absolute dream. I've got a PlayStation 1 and all other emulators that are on this little machine that I can carry around with wherever I go, and it plays the games that I want to play. That's all I want, a console that can play the games that I want to play. I don't care if it's better on a completely different console elsewhere down the line. I've said it so many times in here. If the gameplay is tight and the storylines are good, if I've got a game on a particular console I want to play, I'll wait to end up playing it if I don't end up getting the console for whatever reason. But it all comes down to the games. I'm not bothered about... If people want to have the argument about what console's better, then it's fallen on deaf ears because I really do not give a shit. It's all about the games. I don't want to be buying into an ecosystem just for the sake of being part of one side or the other. It doesn't work like that. I play on my PC more than I play on any other games console that I've got in the house, and I've pretty much got more than probably most people have because I'm a stupid collector that collects irrelevant and stupid things, but I just have them all at my disposal. So those kind of arguments will always fall on deaf ears to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that kind of analogy is like, say I'm sat there in my Ferrari Enzo or something like that, something that's like, oof, look at that. But then someone sat there in a Bugatti Veyron, arguably better. Not in every single way, but it's faster, it's got better top speeds, costs a bit more or whatever you want to judge if it being better, that's it. But then the Bugatti Veyron's only allowed to drive up to second gear, whereas I've got the option between third and fourth and fifth and whatever. Probably Ferrari Enzo 27th gear, probably not, but you know. And that's the thing, it's like having the better thing is not necessarily the case, it's what you can do with it. And that's the kind of thing. It's like if you've got an Enzo and you can only do the same speed and it feels exactly the same as a Ferrari, then well, you've just bought a Ferrari that costs you a shitload more money, then we might as well just got a Ferrari to save money on it, kind of thing. Yeah. But anyway, analogies out the windows. We don't need that sort of stuff. Jumping back to the chat, David says, well, for us PC fanboys, the guy needs to get his facts right about the PS5 and Xbox having faster SSD speeds than PC. Granted, it's high end, but you can't get SSDs. But you can get SSDs 1.5 times faster read-write times. I can't really argue with that in terms of, I can't remember the exact comment. It was something along the lines of something was better than high-end PCs are delivering right now, and it was definitely linked to the SSDs, but I can't remember exactly the point that he said, so I'll have to jump past that one. Already an SSD pretty much nearly the same to Sony's SSD. Tech moves just that quick. Yeah, exactly. I use all four: PS4 for JRPG, Xbox for friends and multiplats, Switch for exclusives, and PC for MMOs. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Use them however you want. If you're getting specific things for them, then that's what they are. I mean, PlayStation kind of scratches that itch for me mainly. I had an Xbox, jumped to PlayStation because social reasons. That's where players that I could play with were. So that's kind of it then. But yeah. It makes perfect sense from a tribalism perspective, says Evans. It's social identity theory. It becomes part of their identity, and any threat to that is attacked personally. Yeah, that's the thing. I get that. That's like absolving themselves. It's almost like crowd mentality. Then once you've assimilated it as part of your social identity, crowd theory is that you become de-individualized, so you have to follow the crowd, and you are following your tribe. But it is so bizarre that people absorb it to that level where they don't need to. Like I say, it's like having a football club is socially frowned upon, having more than one. Bibby can't be a City and a United fan. So there's kind of social constructs there. But it's weird that those... Oh, vacuum in the background. It's weird that there's social constructs that people feel like they have to choose between one or the other when they absolutely don't. But that's probably just kind of like stereotyping. The reason stereotypes exist, I'm going into my psychology A level here. The reason stereotypes exist is because it's an easier way for people to sort information. Bibby's a City fan, therefore he drinks a certain drink, he walks a certain way, he always wears a cagoule, and he listens to Oasis. I mean, that's probably true, but whatever.
That is absolutely accurate, to be fair.
But that's a stereotype, and the reason the stereotype exists is because it's easier for me to filter information. So the reason... That's whole logic of just filter information. You have to be an Xbox player. That's probably where it comes from. But it's bizarre when it doesn't have to be the case, but that's just human nature, I suppose. It's going to be the worst when PlayStation Studios release games on PC. Already the Horizon Zero Dawn devs received death threats from Sony fanboys because they decided to let more gamers experience a good game. I know, that's ridiculous. And it was the same with Kojima Studios when they were saying exclusive to PlayStation, and then it came out on PC. Death Stranding, I'm talking about. It's like exclusive to PlayStation, and that was it. PlayStation fanboys, absolutely seeing their asses because they're not the only ones that can play a game. And it's like, well, it's not gone to Xbox, so and even if it has, chill out, mate. It's already out. You've played it. Get over it. But yeah, whatever. But what console consumers looks at the tech used compared to I don't know. Okay, jump past. They'll just find other things to whine about and find reasons to send death threats. It's true. It's idiots. It's a huge issue that needs to be addressed even by higher ups in the industry. Fanboyism is literally going to cause a death threat at some point. Do you know what? It's interesting as well to see fanboyism definitely accelerating. Not stupidly, because there's always been idiots. There's always been death threats. It's probably social media makes it a bit more visible now. But from that sense, maybe it's just the visibility is accelerating. It's always been there, but that accelerating whilst the brand tribalism in terms of Microsoft and Xbox. 20 years ago, you'd never see Microsoft publicly going, congratulations on the release of the PlayStation 5 today. Nailed it. I expected big things from you. But they do that. And games developers share, oh, do you know what? Well done to our competitors who have released an amazing game. That happens. Because, I mean, people have evolved to the point where you don't just have to have a competitor as an enemy. A competitor can be someone that you respect as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see that brands are evolving that way, but the communities below them are still like, pitchforks, flames. I'm just going to quickly scan. There we go, over the chat, because the chat has been popping quite a bit today. So thank you everyone for getting involved. We do like a nice conversation. Also, look at the deer controversy. I don't know what the deer controversy is. They're a lost cause. Yeah, but it's a lead of example. If someone likes PlayStation and sees the console or brand being attacked, they join in. See every. What do you mean shift? I can't even remember the context. But Asim says it's not the size of the boat; it's the motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
Fucking line and a half. I don't even remember what that's in relation to, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Fatman Dave says marketing gets a brand into your head. It's what's already in there that causes the problem with toxic fanboys. Fanboys? Kind of, yeah. It's your individual makeup. Marketing doesn't say go out and grab your pitchfork because you play on Xbox. Make sure it's a green pitchfork though. You know, none of those blue pitchforks. Marketing doesn't do that. So yeah, it is down to intrinsic nature, the nature-nurture debate kind of thing. But yeah. I think we know what you guys were talking about. No idea. Anyway. Tribalism aside, Unreal Engine 5 is coming to both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and the Switch and your iOS phone and your Android phone. And yes, you can have both phones. I mean, most people don't because you only need one, but you can have both iOS and Android, as well as having PlayStation and Xbox. So, I mean, bizarre, I know, but you can. Anyway, let's move forward. This next article says PlayStation is just generally better than Xbox. No, it doesn't. Sorry. Don't. Pitchforks down. Pitchforks down. It doesn't say that. This was one that we were going to cover yesterday, but we had to move it today so we can jump onto the Masters of the League stream straight afterwards. But I mean, also apologies for Master of the League stream. We had a match postponed at the end of the stream yesterday. 93 minutes and 5 seconds into a 94-minute game, and the match was postponed. Let's just say floodlight failure caused the match off, and it wasn't anything to do with the game crashing whatsoever. But anyway, we'll skip past this one because it's a fairly brief article, so we'll fly through it. Tom Ivan for VGC says Rockstar launch and Social Club experiencing issues due to an extremely high player volumes. Rockstar working to fix problems following a popular GTA 5 giveaway. So Rockstar Game Services are currently experiencing issues due to a surge in demand following an ongoing Grand Theft Auto 5 giveaway. And if you haven't done this and you have a PC, make sure you get involved, as the Epic Games Store is currently giving away the PC version of GTA 5 for free until May the 21st. So you have 2 days. If you haven't got it, download the Epic Launcher, get GTA 5 for free. Job done. The offer launched on Thursday and quickly crashed the Epic Games Store. The following day, Epic confirmed that some users were temporarily unable to download any free games through the Epic Games Store, including GTA 5. Rockstar has also acknowledged several issues since the offer went live. We're aware of an issue resulting in Social Club account verification email delays and are actively working to resolve it, it said on Friday. Players who have not received their account verification after 4 hours should resubmit an email verification request. It also said on Sunday, due to extremely high player volumes, we are currently experiencing issues with access to Rockstar Games services, including the Rockstar Games launcher and GTA 5 for PC. We're actively working to resolve the issue and will keep you updated of any changes. And then Rockstar released a dedicated game log. Never mind.
Imagine 8 years on, and the games are still crashing, servers are crashing, and launchers are crashing. 8 years on, and this game is still causing chaos.
It shows you how well this game has. I mean, it's not a game. It's full on cheese, but it's pretty much a way of life now. Yes, you access this way of life through different launches and different platforms, but it's more than a game now. Absolutely. And I mean, we've seen channels that are huge that play nothing but GTA 5 and started with GTA 5 and so on. It not only does it fund people's habits in terms of giving you access to games and missions and online content and offline content, but it funds people's literal lives in terms of people have made jobs based off of this one game. I mean, what games come out and last for 8 years that you can build a job on? There's only a handful of them at any one point in time. So GG. For this to happen on console as well, not PC. Well, it is on PC. Obviously it is now, but yeah. Amazing. Pez Bull says, hello, for me Xbox fails with the first impression. They were having huge chance to show how and why Xbox Series X is so powerful and why you would need to buy it. For now they do not do it. Unreal Engine 5 just makes huge favour for PS5 and Sony. I think that's part of it, you know. I do think that's part of it. The fact that Xbox, their first Inside Xbox monthly showcase was a bit weaker than they'd positioned it. They damaged themselves by going exactly #perception. The perception of it. They damaged themselves by saying, "Look, expect this," and then they only delivered something magical. I'm doing it as a very visual thing. Then I start thinking about the audio listeners. Imagine we're going to give you something that's 10 out of 10, and then they only give you an 8 out of 10. It's still really good, but because it's not hit your expectations, you've perceived it as being weaker. We're going to give you gameplay. We are literally changing the game, was the phrases that they said. And then they didn't give gameplay, but PlayStation did. PlayStation didn't. Unreal did on the Unreal Engine 5. And it's not actual gameplay. It's not a game that you will ever play. It was a demo. But people then use that to create a narrative. Okay, Xbox have been around for months and promised gameplay and didn't deliver. PlayStation still aren't even here and we've seen how things play. Oh, well, and so that's kind of the thing. And it has worked in PlayStation's favour, even though they didn't really do it. So that is a bit of a shame for Xbox, but if they smash it in their next two Inside Xbox events, then it could all swing back the other way. But I think you're right there in terms of, but it's people adding 2 + 2 to get 5 because of that #perception, as Tassim Anvia Industry Leaker says. I tried playing GTA yesterday and I kept being kicked offline and into story mode. Yeah, it's the hype. It's the hype. It was a tech demo and runs on anything. It's not a showcase of just PS5. Yeah, that's what he's saying though. He's saying it adds to the favour of PS5 and Sony. It does. Not that Sony and anyone have done that, but it does. Xbox dropping at the same time as that, people put the two together. Like I said, they add 2 and 2 to get 5. Not that it's valid in that sort of sense, but yeah, it works that way. But like we said, because of fanboyism, and not only that, not just fanboyism, because of journalism, it's a nice narrative to say Xbox promised it, failed. People like to kick media like to build something up and then boot them. Xbox, the only thing, it's amazing, they're winning the console race. First opportunity that they have to stumble, the media will smash them down and then beat them with someone else. So we'll build PlayStation up so that we can start to take them down later on. What's the Batman quote? I mean, Asim will be able to smash this. It's something like is it like live so long as the hero and they'll change you into the villain or something like that. It's basically Xbox have been around as the hero of the story for a while, so long that the point that the media have now started to turn them into the enemy, which is kind of like, it's a bit shit of journalistic tendencies, but there we go. So anyway, skipping ahead, as I said, we'll skip through it. Rockstar Games, their Rockstar launcher and the Social Club are experiencing issues. So if, like its DDC has said in the chat, you keep getting kicked offline and back into the story mode, that is down to extremely high player volumes because everyone wants it. Anyway, you only have to worry about that for a couple more days because 21st, the game's not free and then it'll probably slow down a bit then. But anyway, what are you chuckling at?
It's literally just that. I just can't believe it. Like 8 years later, people are still trying to access the online part, but the servers can't handle it. It's amazing. I wonder whether or not over the last 8 years, because it's at its height, it's at its absolute peak. It is still peaking, but I think would they have turned like certain servers off, like a few of them, and now had to re-put them back on again and pay more money and open the servers back up again, so more people can join it, because they don't just keep the same amount of servers on all the time, because the biscuit, well, they won't be skinned, but it costs money to host servers. So if they had, I don't know, 2 years ago, 10,000 servers running all around the world for people to be able to connect to, and then I don't know, a year ago they'd taken them down to like 8,000. They'll have to put the other 2,000 back up again, because clearly the 8,000 can't hold what they've got going on around the world now, thanks to Epic Games letting the entire world play it for free.
Yeah, I imagine that's a good shout. Actually, I imagine they've probably started scaling back at some point, thinking, okay, we've got to be on the downward trend here. We've got to save some money, be profitable, and then boom, the game's amazing again. Fuck, okay. Just imagine them begrudgingly going, fine, we will buy more servers for the billions of people that want our products. First world problems. That's it. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that's kind of where Xbox have seen themselves. Xbox didn't deliver, so the media were just happy enough to see their hero turn into a villain in the story, and then it made sense for them to turn PlayStation into hero, even though it was Unreal Engine. So there is part of that as well. It's not just fanboy tribalism, but it's a nice narrative that's going to sell column inches over the next 6 months. So yeah, there is that too. We need to be WoW. Now is the time. Which company delivers more WoWs? That the company will get more advanced at the beginning of the race for fans. Epic and Unreal 5 make this for Sony for some parts. Yeah, that's it, and that's the key thing though. Epic and Unreal 5 have delivered WoWs, a technological WoW that you'll never be able to play. But the narrative says that it was Sony. And speaking of Sony, let's jump into our next news article. This one could be a doozy where we could spend a lot of time talking over it, but we'll try fly through this one. Sony says it plans to reveal a compelling PS5 games lineup soon. Company also says PlayStation now has over 2.2 million paid subscribers. Sony has said it will reveal a compelling lineup of PlayStation 5 games in the near future. Company president CEO Ken-Ichiro Yoshida announced the plan during Sony's corporate strategy meeting on Tuesday. Oh, by the way, this is written by Tom Ivan for VGC. Don't know if I said it, but there we go. He said increased speed, enhanced sensory perceptions generated by PS5's DualSense controller, and sound delivered in 3D audio will combine to create revolutionary and more immersive next-gen console game experiences. 1 second. Excuse me. Games for the PS5 that deliver this new game experience are being made by both first and third-party developers, and we plan to introduce a compelling lineup of titles soon, he said. Commenting on the impact of the coronavirus, Sony said last week that major problems have not arisen in the game development pipeline for Sony's own first-party studios or its partner studios. It's also said it's too soon to judge its PS5 marketing campaign in response to criticism about its promotional activities lagged behind Microsoft's Xbox Series X product reveals. Following the publication of its full-year financial results on May the 13th, during which it revealed PS5 is still on track to launch during the holiday 2020 season, Sony was asked to rate its next-gen marketing campaign to date. During an investor Q&A session, a Merrill Lynch analyst said, Sony's next-generation game console marketing compared to Microsoft's software lineup introduction is a bit inferior. Some people say it's lagging. So towards the launch of PS5, do you think that you will have a passing grade? And if it is a passing grade, what is going well? Is it a passing grade or not? Sony's chief financial officer Hiroki Totoki responded, well, on that point, I think results will be everything. So after the launch, it will become clear, and so we're going to make our utmost effort. It was recently claimed that Sony is planning to unveil its PS5 plans in June, and Sony CEO Yoshida also said on Tuesday that PlayStation now has over 2.2 million subscribers as of April 2020. Damn, that's a big old jump. They've over doubled the number of PlayStation Now subscribers in a year. Big news.
Mental.
Big news.
It is. There's quite a lot of good games that have actually gone onto PlayStation Now. I'm just going to throw this out there. If you are interested in playing the Golf Club, it is on PlayStation Now. So if you've got a free subscription, go and play it, because it is one of the best golf games I've ever played. But yeah, the fact that either within Rainbow Six Siege and a million other games that are decent on that are being put on there as well, Do you think PlayStation Now will go on to the PlayStation 5? Just out of curiosity.
Yes. 2.2 million subscribers, up from 1 million subscribers a year ago. It would be a calamity to go, oh no, it's just that one, or you have to buy a separate one or whatever.
I think the beauty of it, I mean, I absolutely think it'll go on to the PlayStation 5. But the beauty of it as well is when I had PlayStation Now about a year ago, and you didn't have to download the games; you could just stream them from their platform. Where I have fast enough internet for me to be able to do that, and it doesn't. Sometimes it had a little bit of lag, but it was fine for the most part. So the fact that they're able to play PS4 games that have been put on PlayStation Now, and you obviously on PlayStation 4 you can play PlayStation 3, some PlayStation 2, and I don't think you can play any PlayStation 1 games as it stands. But I think they need to build that back catalogue up more, and have some of the absolute staples of PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 on there, just to build that catalogue, because the Xbox Game Pass, it has about 120-ish, 130 games on it, which is great because the games that are on there, they're all like AAA, top tier, first party games. They're all absolute bangers on there, and there is a lot of shit, to be fair, on the PlayStation Now one. So if they could build that up and make it a bit more marketable, shall we say, I think that'll help them out a lot. But they said with this, it's the title. Yeah, it's the title. It's Sony said that they'll be revealing a compelling lineup of PlayStation 5 games in the very near future. The only thing that I've got to go off at the moment is like what the Xbox One, which, to be fair, the games that they're showing out are 13 off. Yeah, it was 13 games that they're shown. There were some absolute bangers in there, and games that they're all. Was it 10 of them that were brand new?
Yeah, like I think it was like 12 games that we've never seen before, and it was something like 11 of them were brand new IPs or something stupid.
Yeah. So if that's the bar, then PlayStation have got a lot to be able to do. We know what to expect from first party stuff. I understand that. I'm not bothered about that, because Sony do put out good first party games. I'm not worried about what exclusives they're going to have down the line. I want to see some more stuff. I want to see if we've got any new sequels. Are we going to see anything that's going to change the way that we play games again? Because that's what I'm more excited about. Fair enough, we might end up getting Assassin's Creed 17, or games that we've come to expect. It's the same with Microsoft. Like we've said that they need to take the time out of after this Halo, depending on how well it does. Are they going to retire that for us for a small amount of time? The Gears franchise is just fucking can't be arsed with that anymore. It's just the same shit over and over again. But what we're going to get from the PlayStation, the bar of that last Inside Xbox was so high. For me, I enjoyed that. Like, I'm not, again, it comes down to the Sony fanboys and the Xbox fanboys. The Xbox fanboys wasn't excited about that. There was probably more disheartened than anything, because the promised gameplay, and there was gameplay elements in there. You can see that, but it did look like they'd been programmed to do certain things rather than it just.
Or they'd been after-touched kind of thing. Like that Bright Memory Infinite was definitely gameplay, but then it went into almost like button press sequence screens or something, and it's like, is it gameplay? I mean, I can't quite tell. There's nobody playing it there, so I mean, if it is someone playing it, is it someone that's played it through the use of a PC that will correct his movements and stuff? So
so I think the bar for what we expect to see in this, I imagine this is a tie into what we're going to see in the state of play. I'm not too sure, but I want to see something. I want to, because the bar at the moment is with Xbox. In my opinion, it's with them, because they did a really good job with that inside Xbox One, regardless of what people say. In my personal views, I think they did a good job with that, releasing all those new IPs, and some of them looked amazing, like really, really good games that I would like to play.
The interesting thing there is kind of the same thing as with Unreal being PlayStation 5, but not being PlayStation 5. Those Xbox games, and they're not all just exclusive to Xbox games, those were third-party titles. Yes, some of them, like Scorn, I think, and maybe a couple of others, we did cover it last week, it was missed that they were actually exclusive to Xbox or available on Game Pass and things like that. So Xbox have kind of hit out of the park, and yes, they aren't all exclusive, but you now attribute those games to that, like you attribute the Unreal Engine 5 to PlayStation. It's not exclusive, but that's what it is. Anyway, one thing I do want to jump on is, if you need the scoop, Bibby and Graham will keep you in the loop. Yes, Phantom.
Phantom.
Gears. MGS1 remake or GTFO. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I think for me, the bit that they've got games coming, they haven't announced them. They will have stuff, and no doubt some of those games that we've seen before will go into PlayStation's bit, and no doubt PlayStation's teams will have been speaking to the Ubis, the Bethesdas, the Konamis, the EAs, the whatever, and said, okay, hold some back for us. So FIFA wasn't included in that inside Xbox conference. Is that because it's going to be in a PlayStation one? Because PlayStation have been quite close with FIFA recently, or is FIFA going to be held for the EA Play? And if it is an EA Play, will it then follow up in a State of Play before it goes into an Xbox thing? So there's a lot of games, from like big games and probably smaller ones that we won't have seen. And the key thing with that Xbox one as well is, whilst they did have some big publishers in there, there was only really Assassin's Creed Valhalla that was like a top tier, like headliner of a game, which we'd already seen. So that, even though we've had like 12 new IPs, whatever it was, 11 new IPs, plus 13 games within that conference, that's probably the smaller end of the spectrum. We've not seen anything huge there, so I think it could still go either way. Sony will have a bunch of titles, yes they will, but Xbox will have more as well. So it's interesting to see where that actually goes. The key thing for me though was the Merrill Lynch analyst asking Sony if they think they will have a passing grade at the end of this because their marketing is lagging behind Xbox. I think that's a bit of a charged question. Perception.
I agree with it. It is a charged question, but I agree with it.
I can see where it's coming from. I don't necessarily agree with it yet, and I think that's because what Hiroki Toki responded saying, is it a passing grade or not? Well, on that point, I think the results will be everything. I think that's the thing. By saying it's lagging behind, but is it?
We've only seen the controller so far.
No, but you're not letting me finish. Is it lagging behind? But Xbox's cycle is nothing to do with PlayStation's cycle. We put them together. So because PlayStation go, okay, well, Xbox has gone out with stuff, I'm making my own game with my own cycle. I think that's kind of the thing, is what, reading between the lines of what Hiroki Totoki said is, after the launch, it will become clear. And I think at that point, we can judge. At this point, you basically say, Xbox has shown a lot, why haven't you? Well, I'm not Xbox. I've shown you what I felt you needed to see. Okay. Well, that's a completely different person. It's like comparing how City's training regimes are going against United. United just look to be a bit shit compared to City. Well, we're a different team with different players, completely different situation. It's a similar ballpark, no pun intended, but yeah, it's a different thing. So it is a charged question. I get why she's asking. I say why, he or she, it just says an analyst. I get the only reason I said she is because it says Meryl, which is a Metal Gear character that's a woman, that I instantly thought, oh, she. I get why the question is being asked, but it's a clickbait journalism question. Should you be doing more? If you answer that, yes, we should. He says, oh, you admit you've not done enough. If you say no, it's like, okay, so you feel that lagging behind is good. It's one of those sort of like, you can't answer it without really answering it. So I think Hiroki Totoki has dodged that very well by saying, judges afterwards, you'll see then. Because that's the thing, if they are lagging behind on our perception of two separate brands pushed together. If we then see afterwards PlayStation go, oh yeah, by the way, mic drop, boom, then it's like, okay, they weren't lagging behind at all. And that's kind of the thing. Right now, they are, but it's horses for courses.
No, the thing that this is a question for you and the rest of the chat as well, because I haven't got the answer to this. So if they do, that would be great.
We want answers on it. Sorry, solutions, not problems.
Well, I don't know. When was in the last console generations and the generations before those? How many months in advance did we see the console before it actually came out? Because I have a feeling it's probably around 10 to 11 months before the console came out that we actually seen
I think you're right.
Heard something about it.
It was just like E3 of the year before or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, and that's the thing at the moment. That's the bar that I'm holding them to. It's an unrealistic bar because marketing messages change all the time. But I honestly thought by now we would see what the console looks like as a bare minimum. We've seen games run on the console without actually knowing what it looks like. We've seen the controller, and we haven't seen anything else. We haven't seen. The smallest of things like how many USB ports is it going to have, and stupid shitty things like that. But we know like what the SSD is going to be in it. It's the small things like that I don't know whether or not they must have a complete version of that console now. Not the developer console that's with all the publishers and developers now. That's irrelevant. The actual console that we're going to get in our houses, and it feels weird that I just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that one. Jordan says, biggest for me is the fact that Xbox Series X is already in production, but it seems Sony hasn't finished design of the console. Maybe. It's the maybe. Have they? Have they not? There's been a lot of hearsay on that. We don't know. Let's just say they have. Let's just say they haven't. We don't know. So, especially with the rumors of the console being shown as being pushed back, all uncertainty with everything because of COVID at the moment. Yes, it was the year before. Sony is redesigning the console at the moment, though. But how do you know that? You've just said Sony hasn't finished the design of the console, maybe. So you can't say something for fact when you don't know. But you don't know Sony hasn't finished the design of the console. If it's going to be out for the end of the year. I mean, it could be that they haven't finished design of the console. It could be that they've finished design of the console. It could be that it's not in production yet, even though they finished design. It could be fully in production. I feel that whether they've finished the design or not, because we haven't seen it yet, I do feel that there will be a lag in the production. So when Sony says it will be around in holiday 2020, I've said quite a few times before, I believe it will be. But will it be enough? If we haven't seen it yet, possibly not. They might not have enough made by that point.
Has Jordan just broke his NDA there? Because he just said Sony has redesigned the console at the moment, though. I can't say when Sony Studios actually seen the final design because I'm under NDA. But have you just broken it there by saying that they're not fit? They're still redesigning the console because you're not meant to talk about it. Period, are you? If that's the case.
I'm not sure because in the previous one it says it seems Sony hasn't finished the design of the console. Maybe. So I don't know because I left. So yeah. Anyway. Let's rifle ahead. I know there's a lot on the table that we're discussing here, but let's jump on to final story because it's to wrap things up. And this one actually ties into something Phantom said a little bit earlier on. Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, or get the fuck out. Last news story of the day, which is one that we were going to cover yesterday, but we pushed to today's. Metal Gear Solid veteran Ken-Ichiro Imaizumi joins Tencent after leaving a year after leaving Kojima Productions. Ken Imaizumi is a decent chap, by the way. Ken-Ichiro Imaizumi, a former founding member of Kojima Productions, has joined Tencent Europe. Imaizumi left Kojima Productions last year after nearly 20 years with the company, having most recently worked as corporate director overseeing production on Death Stranding, VGC reports. He will now be working from Tencent's base of operations in Amsterdam. The European arm of the company aims to identify investment opportunities within the area, as well as expand its WeChat message service. Imaizumi was a founding member of the Kojima Productions, which became independent when Kojima was fired by publisher Konami following the release of Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. He had previously worked on every Metal Gear Solid title since 2001's Sons of Liberty, most recently acting as producer for Guns of the Patriots, The Phantom Pain, and Metal Gear Rising. The reason for his departure at the time is still unclear, although, as reported at the time, one source said it was claimed due to a disagreement with Kojima Productions' other directors. Imaizumi was absent on the press tour for Death Stranding. Death Stranding released in 2019 to PS4, receiving a spread of criticism. Some loved it, some were less impressed. The VG247's review describes the game as incredibly pretty and kind of dull, a little bit like me. You can read our review here. I'm not joking. I'm not pretty. It's fine. That's the face. Anyway, so yeah, Asim in the chat says Ken legend. He's a good guy. Met him at Gamescom, I think it was, or what? I can't remember actually. Maybe it was. I think it was. I can't remember. But it's good guy. But yes, joined Tencent Europe. Unsurprising. Tencent, huge company. Ken Imaizumi worked on some huge games. It's kind of a no-brainer, should I say. Left it a year after joining Kojima, waiting for a good opportunity to come along. And yeah, basically, long story short, Tencent owns PUBG. Well, they own some of PUBG, and Ken Imaizumi made Metal Gear. So, long story short, Metal Gear in PUBG confirmed.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I want to run around in my Solid Snake skins. I've got my Nathan Drake from Uncharted skin in PUBG. Give me my Solid Snake skins. Yeah, Naked Snake, that one. Yeah, I love that one. Bam! I want to whip my Naked Snake out on stream for everybody. 40 plus games for Tencent. They own pretty much most of the industry. They've got shares in Epic, so therefore have financial interest in the Unreal Engine and things like that. And if we're seeing that as like the stake for most games, if most games go Unreal are going to give me a stupidly high profit margin without charging me for use of the game engine, then yeah, I'll use Unreal Engine, which will mean that Tencent have even more of a vested stake across the industry. They are huge. Films and everything. So many films now you see Tencent films. So yeah, big acquisition for Tencent, and nice to see Ken Imaizumi getting back into the industry as well. But we are going to wrap things up. We've been on for quite a while, and quite a lot of conversation we had to fly through, so thank you everyone for getting involved in the chat, particularly Jordan for breaking his NDA and will now be witch hunted, because headhunted means people are coming after you. I mean, they are, but not in a good way. I'm joking. I mean, when I worked for Sony in terms of the PS4, I didn't break NDA. It's alright, of course you didn't. Wink. 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 No, you didn't. Wink. Oh, wink. For those of you listening, I'm winking and headbutting the microphone. That's what that thud was. Anyway, we are going to disappear. Thank you, everyone, for dropping in the stream once again. We're going to drop off now. I am going to jump back on. I'm going to do a few games of PUBG. So if anybody fancies a few games of PUBG on the console version, then please feel free to stick around. You can jump in. We can play. Get some dubs. If you don't, then you don't have to. And if you're listening to this on demand, then you'll be able to see that as a standalone broadcast as well. Jordan says he'll jump in. Yeah, dinner time duos. But yes, we are going to wrap things up for the scoop. We will be back tomorrow with more scoopalicious content, though, for you guys. So feel free to drop back then. Hopefully, I say hopefully. It's nice to have a lot of news articles because we can keep the conversation concise rather than kind of like tumbling down less exciting rabbit holes. We had quite a lot to talk about today. We had to cut off a lot of conversation topics to get through all the news articles. But hopefully we can just get one or two really big ones to discuss tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, maybe we'll just get a lot of small ones. The only way you'll find out is by checking in. If you hit follow on the channel now, you will get notified when we do go live again. Obviously, in a few minutes' time with PUBG, but after that, you'll get notified by hitting the follow button. Anything you want to add before we do disappear, babe? Yeah.
As always, if you do see any video game news that you want to add your opinion to, then do feel free to tag in at We've Got Rubinho, at Graham_Day, and of course at Ice Cream Uploads. We'll take your thoughts and impressions on the news article and give our thoughts and impressions on the news article. At what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
10 a.m.
Ish.
Hey, 10 a.m.-ish. As we do each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. I've just added the links to our Discord and all of our socials in the channel. It's at Ice Cream Uploads across the board for the socials. But, follow the links, get involved. But until then, if you are a subscriber, you get access to our exclusive emotes. There's a blue one that you should spam now if you got it. Spam the blue one if you're a sub. Yeah, do it, yeah. Anyway, because that emote says how we finish each one of our shows. You may have seen it in COD, you may have seen it elsewhere, but we made it famous after they did. It's fine. Have yourselves a lovely day, ladies, and remember,
stay frosty!